Okay, 6.10. Yogi unjita satatam atmanam rahasi stitaha ekaki yada chittatma nirashira parigraha. Translation. A transcendentalist should always engage his body, mind and self in relationship with the Supreme. Atmanam. Atmanam means himself, his body, mind and self. He should live alone in a secluded place and should always carefully control his mind. He should be freed from desires and feelings of possessiveness. Now, this is a process that is being recommended for Dhyana Yoga. Okay, what is the process of Dhyana Yoga? That one has to sit in one place, in a secluded place. He has to sit facing north and he has to sit with his back straight, with eyes half closed, etc. All those things will come. This is words for Dhyana Yoga. But for us, what is relevant in Bhakti Yoga is that we should always engage ourselves in relationship with Supreme, which means that whatever we do, it should be related to Krishna. For a secluded place means not literally secluded, we should not be affected by the surrounding consciousness. That is how we seclude ourselves. We can be in the middle of a market, but we can, if we are Krishna conscious, then we are actually in a secluded place. And we should control the mind by engaging mind in Krishna's pastimes, in Krishna's name, etc. We should control the mind. And of course, we should be free from not all desires, material desires. We should be free from material desires and feelings of possessiveness. This is mine, this is theirs, this kind of possessiveness we should not have. Okay, let's see what Prabhupada is saying in the purport. Krishna is realized in different degrees as Brahman, Paramatma and Supreme Personality of Godhead. So degrees meaning because all of them are different stages of understanding. So Brahman is only the external effulgence from the Lord's transcendental body. So it's a very initial impersonal understanding of the Lord. Impersonal understanding means that understanding the Lord as Shakti, as energy. But the energy has to come from energetic, and that energetic is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this energy perception or understanding of the Lord, which is Brahman, is a very initial stage. Then Paramatma, then we know that, okay, Supreme Personality of Godhead also expands, he enters into each and every heart of a living being and each and every atom as Paramatma. So that gives us a little more understanding beyond just simple energy. Now this person, Paramatma, is the Anumanta Upadrushta. So whole material world is running by his direction. So we understand, okay, Brahman is light, but here there's a person who is controlling every jiva in this material world. Then when we come to Supreme Personality of Godhead, we say, okay, from him Brahman comes, from him Paramatma comes, and then he himself is there as the Supreme Person, and his name is Krishna. So this is how we realize Krishna in different degrees. Krishna consciousness means concisely to be always engaged in the transcendental loving service. So these three words, transcendental loving service. So it is transcendental because it's not material. Transcendental means non-material. Now doesn't belong to this material world. Loving service, it's not some mundane service. It's not some service that somebody is forcing us to do. It is out of love. If you offer bhoga to Krishna, it should be out of love. Not like Krishna is not waiting for our plate of prasad, bhoga, food that we are offering. Krishna doesn't have any need to depend on us. Everything belongs to him. Everything is under his control. So he's only looking at saying whether we have any love for him, whether we are offering him in love or we are just, okay, like I have to do, somebody has told me to do. That he is not very interested in. That is actually Vaidhi Bhakti. Vaidhi Bhakti means just following rules and regulations. Okay, I need to do, somebody has told me I need to do 16 rounds. Okay, let me do. No feelings associated. Bhava, Bhakti Bhava. We should have emotions, spiritual emotions, not not material emotions. Material emotions bind us to this material world. Material emotions create trouble, create cause for suffering. Spiritual emotions are cause for happiness, will take us out of this material world into a realm of complete Satchit Ananda. So we should always be engaged in transcendental loving service. Now, it's a very simple thing to understand. Transcendental loving service gives us happiness. So why would anybody not want to be engaged in happiness all the time? Why would anybody willingly want to be engaged in things that give us misery, or willingly want to be involved in misery itself? It doesn't make sense. But see, look at the whole world. The whole world is just running behind engaging in activities that will give future misery, or trying to solve for our current misery. That's all. So there is no attempt really to get any real happiness, and that automatically one achieves by just engaging in transcendental loving service of Krishna. But those who are attached to the impersonal Brahman or the localized super soul are also partially Krishna conscious, because that is also coming from Krishna. So they're partially aware of Krishna, because the impersonal Brahman is the spiritual ray of Krishna and the super soul is the all-pervading partial expansion of Krishna. All-pervading means we use this word sarva vyapi, present everywhere. He is present in every atom. Thus the impersonalist wants to focus on Brahman, and the meditator, Dhyana yogi, he wants to focus on Paramatma. They are also indirectly Krishna conscious. A directly Krishna conscious person is the topmost transcendentalist, because such a devotee knows what is meant by Brahman and Paramatma. His knowledge of absolute truth is perfect. Absolute truth means which is the origin of everything. Janmadhyasayataha. So Krishna is the absolute truth. Everything comes from him. So because a devotee's knowledge about Krishna is perfect, whereas the impersonalist and meditative yogi are imperfectly Krishna conscious. So devotee is perfectly Krishna conscious because he perfectly understands Krishna. The impersonalist and yogi partially understand Krishna, so they are imperfectly Krishna conscious. Partially because they are only understanding some aspects of him, like Brahman aspect of Krishna, Paramatma aspect of Krishna. But Krishna is so much more than Brahman and Paramatma. So only a devotee can actually understand this. Nevertheless, all these are instructed herewith to be constantly engaged in their particular pursuits, so that they may come to the highest platform sooner or later. Now, none of these three categories of people, the impersonalist, the meditator, and the bhakta, they are not engaged in sense gratification. So they are clearly above the whole world, rest of the world, right? Which is possibly 99.5% of the population is engaged in sense gratification. Possibly 0.5% of the population is trying to do anything differently, right? And even they are constantly engaged. They are also putting effort so that they can make progress and they can come to the highest perfection sooner or later. The first business of a transcendentalist is to keep the mind always on Krishna. First business, not the last business. First business. One should always think of Krishna and not forget him even for a moment. Always think about Krishna, never forget Krishna. So when we come to this platform, we have actually become a devotee. And of course, like I've discussed before also, thinking about Krishna doesn't mean simply just, stopping every activity and just thinking about him. Arjuna was also thinking about Krishna by fighting. So there will be services in Krishna consciousness. There will be services in terms of taking care of our family in a Krishna conscious way. Now, all these we should engage in, engage in things that please Krishna or please Guru. So that is also means the same thing, that we are actually engaged our mind in thinking about Krishna. Concentration of the mind on Supreme is called Samadhi or trance. In order to concentrate the mind, one should always remain in seclusion. So the seclusion means what? Avoid disturbance by external objects. So Prabhupada is clarifying. It's not that we should be away from this external objects. We should avoid disturbance by external objects. That means that external objects might be near us, but we are not affected by it. That is important. We should be very careful to accept favorable and reject unfavorable conditions that affect his realization. Anukulyasya sankalpaha, pratikulyasya varjanam. Whatever is anukula, we should follow, we should accept. Whatever is pratikula, we should reject. And this is a decision making framework for devotees. If you are confused what to do, just apply this. Anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya varjanam. Is it favorable to Krishna consciousness? Accept. Not favorable, reject. And in perfect determination, he should not hanker after unnecessary material things that entangle him, because he knows, knowledge wise also he knows that this is useless, this is just going to bind me. All these perfections and precautions are perfectly executed. One is directly in Krishna consciousness. Precautions meaning this, think about Krishna, don't forget Krishna, all these are precautions. But if we engage in activities of Krishna consciousness directly, then they are perfectly executed and automatically executed. Because direct Krishna consciousness means self-abnegation. Abnegation means restraining ourselves from something. Self-control, preventing ourselves from engaging in anything is abnegation. Hold yourself back, wherein there is very little chance for material possessiveness. So clearly Prabhupada is saying that we should just engage in Krishna consciousness, and that is good enough. It takes care of everything, all requirements. We don't have to break our head separately for that. Srila Rupa Goswami characterizes Krishna consciousness in this way. Anasaktasya vishayan yatarham upayunjataha nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagyam uchyate prapanchikataya buddhya hari bhakti hari sambandhi vastunaha mumukshibi parityago vairagyam phalgukatyate. When one is not attached to anything, please hear this carefully. When one is not attached to anything, but at the same time accepts everything, but in relation to Krishna. So we are not dhongi tyagis, meaning false tyagis. We are not just simply renouncing things, saying that, oh, this is all material, it's going to pull me down, it's going to bring me down to the material platform. No, we don't reject anything, but we accept everything in relationship with Krishna. So people used to come to Prabhupada and tell Prabhupada, you are sannyasi, maybe you won't accept money. He said, no, who said we don't accept money? We absolutely accept money. Because we use everything in Krishna's service, nothing for ourselves. So we don't mind. We use everything that is required to serve Krishna and spread the movement. So we accept everything, but in relation to Krishna. Then one is rightly situated above possessiveness. Now this person is not possessive. See, because we should understand, Isha Upanishad says, Ishavasyam idam sarvam. Everything belongs to Krishna. Now, when everything belongs to Krishna and really nothing belongs to me, what am I actually renouncing? I should possess something to renounce something, right? If I don't possess anything at all, it's like me renouncing my neighbor's vehicle. I just sell it off to somebody and said, okay, I just renounced your vehicle. It's just meaningless, right? So really we are above possessiveness when we use everything in Krishna's service, not when we actually renounce it. Please understand this difference. We don't have to renounce a thing to say that, okay, now I don't possess anything. No, we still own the object, but we use it in Krishna's service, and that is also as good as renouncing. In fact, that is better than renouncing, because that is what is defined as Falgu Vairagya, which is incomplete renunciation. On the other hand, one who rejects everything without knowledge of its relation to Krishna is not as complete in his renunciation. So this is Falgu, incomplete renunciation. The Krishna conscious person well knows that everything belongs to Krishna, and thus he is always free from feelings of personal possession. Everything belongs to Krishna. As such, he has no hankering for anything on his own personal account. He knows how to accept things in favor of Krishna consciousness and how to reject things unfavorable to Krishna consciousness. This is what I said. Anukulisa sankalpa, pratikulisa varjana. He's always aloof from material things because he's always transcendental, and he's always alone, meaning have nothing to do with persons not in Krishna consciousness. So we are not talking about running away to a forest. We are talking about just engaging as much as possible with the devotees of Krishna, because they are the real people. Everybody else is artificial people in this material world, all self-centered, selfish. Why would we want to engage with such people? Always worry about, okay, what this person will do, what this person will say. It's so complicated dealing with this outside world. I feel so, comfortable dealing with devotees, right? Because they're simple sadhus, not complicated, not self-centered. Krishna is the center. Very nice, easy, less ego. Therefore, a person in Krishna consciousness is the perfect yogi. So we also have to desire to come to this stage, come into complete Krishna consciousness. So that is what Prabhupada is saying, that we should engage everything in the service of Krishna. Wherever we are, we should not associate with non-devotees. We should engage our mind always in thinking about Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna and engaging in other activities of bhakti. And we should be free from material desires and feelings of possessiveness, because really we don't possess anything. We should use everything in Krishna's service, and that is the most complete renunciation. Okay. Any questions?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. One question.
Yeah.
The question is, we are talking about Brahman, Paramatma, and Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? In one of the SP notes, 1.19.6, it is mentioned that when the water of the Ganges is sanctified 100 times, it is called Yamuna. Similarly, it is said in the scriptures that 1,000 names of Vishnu are equal to one name of Rama, and 3 names of Lord Rama are equal to one name of Krishna.
Yeah.
Does these two things have relation with the current verse which we are discussing in Gita?
Not directly.
Because the next verse here in 1.19.7 in SB notes, which was shared in the chat, it talks about everything related to what we discussed now, what you told us now.
Yeah, I mean, see, Bhagavatam is just expanded Bhagavad Gita, right? So when we read Bhagavatam, it's just blowing up the topics in Bhagavad Gita in practicality, in lives of devotees, and we can then reflect on these topics that we would have discussed and saying, oh, okay, this is in play here. Okay, this devotee is displaying this quality, this in this situation, this is happening. So it will help. Bhagavatam helps us to understand Bhagavad Gita in a more practical way. Right, so you will see like this lot of connection between Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. So that's not very surprising. And yeah.
Then my doubt is like this. So then why are they saying in FB that similarly it is said in the scriptures that 1,000 names of Vishnu are equal to one name of Rama, and 3 names of Lord Rama are equal to one name of Krishna? Why they are saying like this, categorizing like this?
Why they are categorizing as in, because Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigrana Radir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. All the avatars are coming from Krishna. Krishna is the origin. Ishvara Parama Krishna. That's what Brahma Samhita Brahma is saying. Ishvara Parama. Parama Ishvara is Krishna. Then he also says in Brahma Samhita, Rama Dimurtishu Kalaniyamena Tishtan Nanavatara Karod Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Paramapumanyo Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Rama Adi Murtishu Kalaniyamena Tishtan. Kala. There is Amsha and there is Kala. There is expansion, plenary expansion, then there is portion of plenary expansion or plenary expansion. It's called Amsha Kala. Basically, these are all expansions coming from Krishna. Like Rama Adi Murtishu. So Rama is also an expansion of Krishna. Then there is Vishnu. Vishnu is also actually coming from Krishna, from Krishna comes Balaram, from Balaram Sankarshana Vasudeva Aniruddha Pradyumna, from that Narayana, from Narayana again Sankarshana Vasudeva Aniruddha Pradyumna, and from that second Sankarshana there is Mahavishnu. So like this, they are all coming from Krishna at different levels in the so-called expansion categories, right? So the name of Krishna is the most powerful. Now Rama is coming from Krishna, so but Rama is pretty powerful. So three names of Rama is equivalent to one name of Krishna. And Vishnu is supremely powerful within the material world, but he doesn't have a role in the spiritual world. But he's complete owner of this material world. Literally, from Krishna's perspective, he is the man. He is the person in charge. So his 1,000 names are equivalent to one name of Rama, right? Or three names of Rama.
Okay, Prabhuji.
So the see, we should understand one thing. These personalities are non-different, but the root is Krishna. Prabhupada gives this example saying that you have one candle and you have 100 candles. Now you take that one candle that you first put on, right, switched on or turned on or lit, and then you light all the other candles. Now after you lit all the candles, all the candles look alike, but one was the source, the other is the recipient of that light from that one candle. So like that, Krishna is the origin, everybody else is coming from Krishna. So their potencies are relatively lesser compared to Krishna's potencies. Okay, so the understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead has, like I said, that way this is linked because it is huge, and the whole of Bhagavatam is actually explaining this position of who is Krishna, who is Vishnu, who is doing what, and all this, how creation is happening, etc., etc. How all these various avatars come, what are these avatars, when do they come? So many interesting things are there in Bhagavatam. We will go to Bhagavatam once we finish Bhagavad Gita.
Okay, Prabhuji. One last doubt, if I'm allowed to ask.
Please.
In front of Lord Vishnu, is it okay to chant Hare Krishna only?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, Prabhuji.
See, Vishnu, we should understand one thing. They are non-different. Okay, their moods are different. Their roles are different. So it is like, for example, okay, let me explain it this way, right? Like, see, there is a prime minister. Okay, now prime minister at work. Okay, but at home he plays a different role. Now when he goes out when say there is his grandson, he's playing a different role. He's the same person, but grandson, he doesn't have to use his power. No, he doesn't need to use his prime ministerial power there, right? So he will not use it. It's like that. So it's the same person, but the moods are different. Like, for example, in office, prime minister office is very strict, straight lipped and straight jacketed, and like this, very formally dressed, etc., etc. At home he's in like casual wear, he's laughing and having fun with his grandson. Now he's the same person, but his mood is extremely different. So Krishna's mood is like this, jolly, fun, happy. This is Krishna's mood. Sweetness, everything about Krishna is sweetness. So out of 64 qualities, Krishna has 4 qualities only he possesses. Not even Vishnu possesses 4 qualities. And those 4 qualities are all about Madhurya, Rupa Madhurya, Venu Madhurya, Bhakta Madhurya, Leela Madhurya. So it's sweetness. So Krishna's personality is of sweetness. Vishnu is more about power. Right, so like this, each and every person has each and every personality who is all coming from Krishna, who is Krishna only, but manifesting different of Krishna's qualities. But Krishna himself possesses 4 qualities which nobody else possesses. It is unique to Krishna. That is why he is Anadir Adir Govinda. He is the origin of all avatars. So we will study all these in Nectar of Devotion, Bhagavatam. We have to slowly, gradually move forward. Then we'll get a better understanding of all this.
Okay, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Can I
Hare
ask?
Krishna. Yeah, please.
There's one line which you mentioned there. Correct me if I'm wrong. So you're telling you cannot use material emotions are different from spiritual emotions. So,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
so when we chant or when we engage in service, it's right now we have material emotions.
No, it's not material emotion.
Like if you feel happy or if you feel ecstasy and chanting, that's all material or
No, that's not material.
okay.
Yeah, anything that in conjunction with Krishna consciousness with bhakti is spiritual. So see, the way it works is it functions using the material senses. So we are thinking that it is actually material, but actually the performance of Bhakti Devi takes over the material senses. So internal energy takes over external energy when bhakti activities are going on. So that is why, which is the same eye, na? So let me explain it this way, right? Like same eye looking at one material thing and looking at the form of the Lord. If my eye is, if I am a devotee, then I look at the form of the Lord, and the same eye experiences happiness, which is much, much, much bigger than when that same eye experiences happiness by looking at some material thing. So it's the same senses, but they are experiencing something on the spiritual platform, right? It's not, they're not experiencing on the material platform. That is why we feel happy. Automatically we feel happy because these are activities of the on the spiritual platform. So when we are, see, it's a very simple to understand. What is the difference between material emotion and spiritual emotion? Material emotion can make you feel sad. Spiritual emotion will never make you feel sad. While there might be, it might look like, for example, separation from Krishna. It might look like it is sadness, but actually it is intense ecstasy. This we cannot understand at this point of time, right? But theory I can say, right? I can't, it's not realized knowledge for me, but point I'm making is that we can very easily understand that it is not material because first, it is not dependent on any material object. Second, it is not under the control of any material situation. And third is there is no negative side to this emotional, spiritual emotion. There is no negative sadness, spiritual sadness, right? So like this we can analyze saying that it's actually not material while it is experienced through material senses and mind.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll finish this 11-12. Suchau deshe pratisthapya stiram asanam atmanah natvichritam nati nicham thailagna kushottaram tatraikagram manakritva yatah चित्तेन्द्रिय क्रियः उपविश्यासने युञ्ज्यात् yogam atma vishuddhaye. To practice yoga, one should go to a secluded place, should lay kusha grass on the ground, cover it with a deer skin and a soft cloth. Seat should neither be too high nor too low, should be situated in a sacred place. Yogi should then sit on it very firmly, practice yoga to purify the heart by controlling his mind, senses and activities and fixing the mind on one point. So this is Dhyana Yoga. We don't have to worry too much about this. We'll talk about sacred place. Prabhupada is talking about sacred place. Sacred place refers to place of pilgrimage. In India, the yogis, the transcendentalists, or the devotees all leave home and reside in sacred places such as Prayag, Mathura, Vrindavan, Rishikesh, and Hardwar, and in solitude practice yoga where the sacred rivers like Yamuna and the Ganges flow. But often this is not possible, especially for Westerners. The so-called yoga societies in big societies may be successful in earning material benefit, but they're not at all suitable for the actual practice of yoga because it's right in the middle of the city. The Prabhupada is saying like that. One who is not self-controlled and whose mind is not undisturbed cannot practice meditation. So clearly, this is our state. We are not self-controlled and our mind is completely disturbed. So we cannot practice meditation. So we have to practice chanting. Therefore, in Brihad Naradiya Purana, it is said that in Kali Yuga, and people in general are short-lived, slow in spiritual realization, and always disturbed. The best means of spiritual realization is chanting the holy name of the Lord. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, eva kevalam khalo nastyeva 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 gatiranyata. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is chanting the holy name of the Lord. There is no other way, no other way, no other way. So this is what we need to do. Not engage in dhyana, engage in chanting. So chanting has two parts, Shravanam and Kirtanam. At least we should do Kirtanam properly initially. Nicely pronounce Lord's names with love and affection. If we are able to chant with love and affection, automatically Shravanam will happen. We'll also hear. Then we will achieve perfection. But dhyana is very difficult because mind very easily disturbs, right? But in chanting, what happens? Even if the mind gets disturbed, there's an opportunity to pull it back. That we'll discuss further. Yeah, we should finish this also. No, okay. This has important discussion. Okay, about the most important thing that people are stuck with is in this material world. Okay, so we'll discuss this in the Monday session. Krishna willing. Okay. Any questions from anybody? General. Okay, so we can have class this Sunday, 10 to 11, if you are all available, because anyway it is lockdown, mostly at least for people in Bangalore. So we will meet from 10 to 11 on Sunday on Zoom. I'll send out the link. You can share it with others also who might have time and who might want to attend. Purnima Mataji, you are asking if your friend wants to join, you can let her know.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Yeah, so we can meet on Sunday.
Prabhuji, one question.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
No.
When we will start SB classes in English?
No, after we finish Bhagavad Gita.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, because without actually going through Bhagavad Gita, we can't start to understand Bhagavatam.
Okay.
And I mean, ideally, by the time we finish Bhagavad Gita, we should have surrendered to Krishna. So that is the attempt. By going through these purports, these verses in a very structured manner, we should come to the platform of surrendering to Krishna. That means that at least in our life, there should be no one else apart from Krishna whom we are depending on. That is the beginning of surrender. Then we can slowly develop love, affection, and all those other spiritual qualities later. But at least to start with, we should be completely dependent on Krishna. So yeah, Prabhupada says if you actually read Bhagavad Gita properly, then we will reach that stage by even reading Bhagavad Gita once. And because we are trying to read it very scrutinizingly, we should reach that stage, provided we are applying ourselves to whatever we are hearing every day in Prabhupada's purports. Then we will definitely reach that stage of full surrender to Krishna. So when we reach the why we need to reach the stage of full surrender before we read Bhagavatam? Because first verse in Bhagavatam talks about supremacy of Krishna. Now, if we are not surrendered to Krishna, then we'll come to Bhagavatam and say, what is this? Janmadhya Seto Amanvayadi Taratastarteswa Vignaswarat. Who is this? Why is independent? No, I don't believe in this. I don't have full faith in Krishna. Then we cannot proceed. It's a full stop there in the first verse itself. Right? So it's better we understand Krishna's nature properly in Bhagavad Gita, and by the end of Bhagavad Gita, completely and accept him like Arjuna did as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, accept him as such, and completely depend on him, surrender to him. Then we can very nicely understand Bhagavatam and then make tremendous progress in bhakti. Bhagavatam is just, beautiful. Bhagavad Gita is also, but many devotees don't appreciate Bhagavad Gita so much because it's too much of philosophy. Bhagavatam is same philosophy, but in story form. So it's like transcendental cheating. So then devotees get hooked on. It's the same philosophy. That's the reason we finish Bhagavad Gita philosophy and then enter Bhagavatam, because then we can actually focus on the rasa in Bhagavatam. So there is rasa, very easy to understand. Juice, right? When you eat gulab jamun, there is rasa, and that rasa actually is what we are yearning for. That juice when we experience Bhagavatam. So for us to reach there, we have to go through Bhagavad Gita properly and understand and apply. Gnana Vignana. So it's not simple knowledge is of no use. We have to apply these things in our life, otherwise we can't experience. Okay. And by the way, just for everybody might have looked, so there's one new Mataji who's joined, Shraddha Mataji. She's not my wife Shraddha. So she's somehow connected with us through a friend of ours, and yeah, she's also very keen on moving on this path of Krishna consciousness. So I just wanted to let all of you know, so that you can also connect with her, and then yeah, share all your experiences and help her also as she makes progress towards Krishna.
Hello everyone. Thank you, Prabhuji.
No problem. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Yeah. So if there's nothing else, then we'll disconnect for today, and we will connect on Sunday, 10 o'clock, and we'll continue our Bhagavad Gita sessions on Monday. So Sunday, what we will do, we will continue our summary, which we were doing. Maybe any thoughts? What should we do? Cover on Sunday? We can cover summary, Bhagavad Gita summary that we were doing, or what else should we do?
Yes, Prabhuji, we can cover Bhagavad
Continue
Gita
rest of the
summary. Yeah,
Okay.
summary. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see how much we had covered. I think we had finished till 12. I don't know. Okay, I'll see the recordings. So we'll do the continue with the summary of Bhagavad Gita.
I think we completed till chapter 13, Prabhuji.
13, right. 13 we finished. So yeah, I think maybe another 2-3 classes we might finish that.
Then we will start Bhagavatam.
Yeah, let's see how it goes. Okay. Fine. Vancha kalpatarubhyacha kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Samaveta gaura bhakti ki jai. Hare Krishna.